You and I are going to recover that chair together. I cannot wait to get started. Let's get to it. Over the next several weeks, we're going to recover this gorgeous chair that I talked about in one of my previous videos. Now, let me just say, I'm going to do this in little bits and pieces, so it is going to take us several weeks to do it because I also have a job, so there's that. But the first step that we need to do is go over all the supplies that you're going to need. That's what we're going to cover in this video, and then the next video, we're going to start taking that chair apart. So let's take a look at all the supplies that you're going to need if you decide to reupholster a chair. First up, you're going to need a chair. So let me give a little recommendation when you're looking for a chair to reupholster. Get one that's already in reasonably good shape. You want to sit in the chair, make sure that the frame itself is not loose or wiggly or anything like that. You don't want to get into something that's broken. That's a lot more work that I don't think that you want to get involved in. Believe me, I've done it and it's not fun. Take the cushion off of the chair if your chair has a cushion and feel the deck. This is called the deck. Make sure that the springs are in really good shape. Most of these old chairs have a spring deck underneath. These are all springs. So if you can do that. Also, I can't do it while I'm holding the camera, but if you're able, turn that chair upside down and look at the underside of that deck, underside of that seat, and make sure you don't see any loose springs popping out. You'll also want to check the seat cushion to make sure that the foam itself is in good shape. This is in reasonably good shape. The only thing I'm going to have to do to this one is to replace the batting, but I think that the foam is in really good shape. And speaking of the batting, you'll need to get a new fresh roll of upholstery weight batting. I'll link that down below. I recover a lot of furniture, so I like to keep this on hand. This is a good one, and we'll talk about that as the process goes on, but it's just good to have that. You're also going to need the fabric. I mean, this is the fun part, right? So I found some reproduction GRAINSACK fabric that is very heavy. It's upholstery weight, and it's relatively inexpensive, so I really like to use that on upholstery projects. I would rather use real GRAINSACKs, but they're really expensive and that's just not in my budget. So I found this company. They offer several different stripes. I picked this one here for this set of chairs. I have two of these chairs, don't forget. So both chairs will be covered in that. Now for the tools. Now don't get too worried about this. Some of these tools you don't need exactly, and I'll give you an idea of what else you can use, but these are some of the tools that you're going to need to make your job easier. You will possibly need this webbing. This helps to hold the underside of the chair all together, but you may not need it. Sometimes when you look underneath the chair, all of the webbing can be dry rotted, so it's kind of good to already have it on hand. By the way, I'm going to have everything linked below. Down in the description, you'll see it in the See More section below the video. You're also going to need some zipper tape. That's if you have a cushion. So mine, remember, I have a separate cushion and that cover comes off. So if you want to be able to remove that cushion cover so that you can launder it, you'll need to either tear out the old zipper or buy new zipper. I just buy new zipper. So you'll need some zipper tape. You're going to need some cording because on that seat cushion, you're going to have to replace the welt cord. You see I have some left over here from another project. So this cording, you can cover that. We'll talk about that as we go along, but you can cover that in your own fabric. And I happen to have a lot of bias tape already made up from the same GRAINSACK fabric. This is just a different stripe pattern that I'll probably use on that chair. I've got to cut on the bias. I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll get to that. You're going to need some trim to trim out the upholstery edges. You'll need some cambric. This is a fabric that goes on the underside of the chair, underside of the deck to hide all the springs, and you just want to refresh that. So you'll need some cambric. You'll need a good pair of scissors and then some smaller tools here. This is a tool that will remove the staples, and yes, we will be removing a lot of staples. That really helps. So do spring-loaded pliers. See how that works? It saves on your hands. It's so worth it to have that. And then you're also going to need a staple gun. Now, I have a pneumatic staple gun, and this really does save an awful lot. I don't have a lot of upper body strength, so I just cannot use a manual staple gun. If you're able to use a manual one, go ahead and use that and totally scratch this. But if you need a little help like I do, you're going to need a pneumatic staple gun. We're going to talk about this. You'll see how it works later. But this is a powered pneumatic staple gun, and that means that it works off of a compressor. I'll show you the compressor here in a minute. And it just really is able to push the staples. You can see I have a row of staples, really pushes it into the wood without a lot of effort on my part. You're going to need some staples to reattach all the fabric, and then you're going to need the hose that goes with this here. So it connects, the hose connects at the end of the pneumatic staple gun. Words are hard for me. And it connects this way. And then the other end of this cord, this hose, this is a hose, connects to the compressor. Here is my compressor. My husband built this box and he's got it on casters so I can move it around and put it away when I'm not doing any reupholstery project. And I'm not going to pull it out right now, but I will have it linked down below so you can see what I have. But the other end of that hose connects onto this, and he's so nifty. He got it so that it comes out the side like that. And then I can just run my pneumatic staple gun and I can close this lid, which really helps to decrease the sound. A compressor is kind of loud, so you might need earplugs. Mine are around here somewhere, and I am having some hearing issues, so I try to watch out for that. You're also going to need a shop vac. This is my little 2.5 gallon shop vac. It stays in my craft room. This comes in really handy. At the end of the workday, you're going to be able to vacuum up all the little stuff that's going to be all over the place, like the tacks and all of that. You'll be able to use a shop vac to vacuum that up. One other thing I did not mention is my work table. So this is a piece of plywood. Use my dog in the background with its own casters. It's just a piece of plywood. We put it on casters so that I can easily move this chair around. You can see that it's just very easy to move around. And if you're able to have something like that, it's just helpful. Each time that I am finished for the day working on this chair, I'm going to make sure I take my shop vac and give everything a thorough vacuuming because I don't want to accidentally step on one of those tacks either. So you want to be safe about it. One last thing before I start working on this, you might want to paint the frame or think about how you want to deal with the frame. This is a wooden frame chair and it's pretty damaged, and I have decided I'm going to paint it. I know a lot of people don't like to paint old wood like that. I do, so I'm going to paint it a really beautiful color. I haven't decided what color yet. We'll just see as that goes along. So I will take all the fabric off and then I will prepare the frame to paint it. I will paint it before I upholster. It's just the way that I like to do that, and then I don't have to worry about the fabric. The next time we get together, we're going to be taking the fabric off of this chair and getting it ready for the painting process. Now, I don't know what we're going to see when we start taking the fabric off. There could be some damage that I'm not aware of, so we'll tackle that when we get it. I'm excited to get this project going. I've been wanting to recover these chairs for years. For about 5 years now, I've been wanting to do this and I just haven't taken the time. So I'm so excited that you're going to come along with me. I hope you learned something. As we go through this and you have questions, be sure to ask down in the comments. I want to help you out the best I can. Now, I am not a master upholsterer, if that's a word. I have not mastered this, but I've upholstered a lot of pieces for our custom client work and also for our home. So you're probably going to see things that maybe you would have done a little differently, and that's just fine. If you have any tips or tricks to share about upholstery, I would love for you to share those down in the comments. Let's just all learn together as we go through this process. And one last thing. These videos are going to be very raw. I'm not going to do a lot of edits. I just want to get these videos done so that I can get them to you as quickly as I can. Hopefully, I'll be able to do 2 or 3 videos each week as I work on these chairs. One last thing before my dog goes berserk because he's getting ready to bark. But let me just say, wherever you decide to reupholster your chair, make sure that it's a room that can be closed off. You don't want to have any little children or pets like my dog walking around and accidentally stepping on one of those teeny tiny tacks that are bound to be in that upholstery project. So make sure that you are in a room that you can close off, and at the end of your work time, each time that you work on it, grab that shop vac and give everything a really good vacuuming and clean it all up because you don't want to step on one of those tacks either. I hope that you found that information helpful. Now, everything's going to be linked down below. All you have to do is click the See More button. It's just below the video. Click that, it'll expand, and then you'll see a list of all the tools and supplies that I just mentioned. Go ahead and like this video and also subscribe because I don't want you to miss any of the future tutorials, especially the ones for this chair upholstery project. That's it for today. We'll see you next time.